Hey everyone, it is Antoinette, your host of W.I.L.L International Women in Life and Leadership, or My Will, where the mission is for your will and my will to represent his will. It's 2021, everyone. It's kind of amazing that we've made it into this new year, and it has been quite a journey. I know there are many of you out there that have gone through so many different challenges in the past year, and you might still be saying, I'm still going through challenges, but believe me, this episode is going to inspire you. We're kind of on this journey of purposes and passions, and I kind of tagged this particular episode Matters of the Heart, because I know that it's going to impact your heart, it's going to impact you, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So stay tuned, prepare to be inspired, and it's going to be wonderful. So hey everyone, it's Antoinette, your host of W.I.L.L International Women in Life and Leadership. And as I always say, I have a very special guest. Yes, all of my guests are special to me, but this one is, this is near and dear to my heart. This is truly a matter of the heart. And it's been a privilege and an honor to even be able to share this right now as it is, because, as we unpack it and as we get into it, you'll see why this was really important. But just to preface it, on the tail end of last year, our final year-end season finale, so to speak, I got a chance to interview my very own Grammy, Miss Doris Smith, on some challenging things that she encountered in her 98 years of life and the miraculous things that she endured and our family endured as a result of her faith, her purpose, and her direction and understanding in God. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I implore you to do that now. Maybe don't stop this episode, but definitely listen to that episode. But little did any of us know that on the heels of that episode being aired, that we would have another moment where we'd be pressed to encounter the need of a miracle. And so this is going to be one of those things that you're going to say, only God, only God could have done this. And we thank God that he intervened in our lives. And I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that we even get a chance to share this. So I get a chance to bring my very own aunt, Miss Diana Wallace. She is fantastic, really, in my mind. World traveler. She's just got a knack for words and communication. She can grow a pineapple out of nothing, basically. She's got this green thumb that when she sends these updates and these pictures, I'm like, I hope that gets passed down to me. I've grown some sunflowers. I thought I was growing apple seeds one time, and that didn't happen. So, but I'm really excited to just share her because in all honesty, this is truly a matter of the heart kind of episode. I want you to buckle up. I want you to just be prepared for the great things in store and just to be inspired as you still try to unpack 2020 and going into 2021. It's going to be great. So, Ani Dai, how are you? Thanks for being here.
I'm wonderful, and I love how you talk about my green thumb. Well, my green thumb is only for pineapples and star fruit. I do grow star fruit, a wonderful star fruit. But Antoinette, what a year 2020 has been, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It is.
Oh, my goodness.
I think we're all still processing it in a lot of ways.
We're processing it. And, I just want to talk a bit about it because the coronavirus, that's COVID-19, changed life as I knew it for me. It was work, at least 12 hours of the day for me. But on March the 19th, at 5 p.m., when our prime minister addressed the nation, that is the Bahamas, and told us about what we had to do we just had to make some changes because of this pandemic. Life change, work stopped for me. It's been almost 12 months now that I haven't been working.
Wow.
At first we thought it was going to be 12 weeks, but little did I know what I was being prepared for in that entire time during the COVID break.
Right.
But, we must remember in all things, we have to give God thanks and praise always, always. Zooming and YouTubing and Facebooking and WhatsApping have become the new way to communicate. Why? Even my 98-year-old mother has made her debut, as you said, on
Yes.
one of Montalvo International Women in Life and Leadership podcast last December. Actually, it was the 18th of December, 2020.
Right.
I well remember that. I was so proud of her as I listened to her share her story of faith. You know, how she trusted in God, that friend she knew since she was 9 years old. She always told me that. She said, Diana, God, I recognized God as my friend when I was 9 years old. And she
Wow.
said, he is still standing by my side today.
Wow. Wow.
You
Wow.
understand that?
That
I
is
mean,
amazing.
yes, how she, you know, she looked fair squarely in the face and said, not today, not today. And as you know, as those who listened to the interview would find out that she was a widow with 7 children and an infant, and a strong faith in God, and a large village of people whom she had shown love to and who loved her back. And, you know, she took on odds that would scare most men. And she won against those odds, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, she won because she had faith in God, whom she trusted. She had hope because there was still life. And where there is life, there is always hope.
Yes.
And finally, she had love. That was love that came back to help her just when she needed it most.
Right.
You know, we were all so proud of her, and we were surely going to share that when we gathered for Christmas dinner the following week. Here goes my story, Antoinette.
Yeah. And I know, and it's just so amazing, even like the precursor, right? And then the buildup and all of that. And it just, even just hearing it just laid out in that way, it's like, wow.
I know.
No one knew what was going to happen.
On.
No
Yes.
one. And I mean, it just, I don't know, it just further like, just brings to light the beauty that comes in learning and growing and understanding. Because I remember, I mean, even vividly having that conversation with Grammy, and I don't think any of us thought that we were going to have to practice what we preach kind of thing. I don't think anyone thought that. And so that was such a huge situation. And well, anyway, I want you to continue. I want you to continue because just thinking about it was just so amazing.
It was, yeah. And, you know, I had been struggling with decorating for Christmas. You know, I love to decorate for Christmas,
right.
But I had just been struggling this year to decorate for Christmas. And I just couldn't decide which one of the party of 10 I was going to be with on Christmas Day.
Right.
You know, because we're still under different curfews, and there are a certain amount of gatherings you can have. They shouldn't be over 10. We're really trying to keep this pandemic, you know, this COVID-19 at bay.
Right.
You know, so I said, would it be with Bones and Claire? Now, Bones and Claire, that's my brother-in-law and sister. Or would it be with Lisa and Keisha and the grandkids? Those are my daughters. And, you know, we could just squeeze in 10 people, but it somehow it would leave Keith out. And Keith is my son who lives here in Nassau. I have another son who lives in Grand Bahama. But I decided, you know what? I'm not going to fool around with this right now. It'll work itself out. So when December the 22nd rolled around, you know, I had made great headway with my decorating. I usually start my day with thanking God, first of all, for the rest of the night before and the gift of the new day. I just always did that. I don't feel right if I don't do that.
Right.
You know, then it was my daily exercise. And usually Keith would call me to find out if I needed, what was on my agenda. Did I need the car for the day? Because we kind of share a car. But there was nothing pressing that I could think about. And I remember him being full of positive thoughts that morning. You know, he just was full of just saying all sorts of wonderful things.
Yeah.
He was on about plans for the future. And as he put it, I turned 39 on November the 23rd. Time for me to get serious about my life.
Yeah.
Keith.
Right.
I also remember him saying I had to stop being so hard on myself. So he was getting on me too. That I was a good mother and it was time for me to put my faith into action. I remember him saying that. Put your faith into action. I
Wow.
smiled and thought, vintage Keith. Where was this coming from?
Right.
And I don't remember much about the rest of that day, but I know I went to bed early, probably exhausted from the day's activities around the house,
Right.
decorating and whatnot. Now, most of us probably have the bad habit of keeping our phones in arm's length from the bed. And it's usually the first thing we look at when we open our eyes.
Right.
Shouldn't do it, but it's true. So when I awoke a little after midnight, you go to bed, maybe about 8 o'clock, you wake up at midnight just because. That was the first thing I did. I looked at my phone and I saw a message from Keisha that had come at 12:10 that read, Stanleah, and that's a friend of Keith. Stanleah just called me to say that Keith is in the hospital.
Huh.
He wasn't feeling well, chest pains. So he went to the walk-in clinic. That's what we call our little, they're not hospitals, they're mini clinics, but we call it the walk-in clinic. Something to do with his blood pressure and heart enzymes not going down. He was sent to the hospital and was admitted on medication. Okay, this got my attention. So I called Keisha and found out that Keith does not have his phone, as he had sent it out to get the screen fixed or something like that. Now, I usually don't panic when I don't know what's going on.
Right.
But I do start to read up on heart enzymes because I don't know what it's about.
Right.
And I try to come up with a diagnosis that is not scary.
I think that's the key. That's the key for all of us, right? It's like, don't scare yourself. Let me inform myself, but let me not scare myself. Lesson of life.
I tell you, eventually I went back to sleep because there was nothing I could do.
Right.
At 7:01, this is now December the 23rd, another message from Keisha reads, he just called Stanleah. Looks like he will be in hospital for Christmas. He's saying they need to monitor him. He's on a drip and saying that he needs to let out a lot of gas. Let's hope he was burping it up.
Yeah.
So Stanleah was trying to get a phone to him. This was another part of the message said she's trying to get a phone to him. He's on the chest pain ward. Okay. Lisa, that's my other daughter, who never reads her messages before she goes to work, thank God, read this one and sprang into action. She wrote at 7:13 a.m., Lord, and she had the praying hands emoji and the heart. And she said, I just messaged Dr. Sands. He'll check on him for us. Now, Dr. Sands is our chief heart specialist here in the Bahamas.
Right.
And Lisa worked with them, for a long time. So she knew them personally.
Right.
So at 7:23 a.m., my son, who lives in Freeport, he joined the conversation and he says, morning, please keep me updated. Matter of fact.
Yeah.
So by this time, Keith must have gotten a phone because we got a message at 12:35 p.m. that simply said, hey, that's Keith, hey. Just, we here worrying about him and he says, hey.
I know.
So 12 hours have passed since we got the message that he was in hospital. Now, like I said, Lisa, who has special relationship with the heart team in Nassau, she has kind of taken over the medical information. And we have found out that the situation is much graver than we first thought. Keith has had an aortic dissection. And apparently with that, the clock is ticking.
Right. And just to interject to let people know, and obviously, this is not disclaimer where we're not diagnosing anyone or anything over, but aortic dissection is essentially where the aorta tears. And, there's a variety of different things that lead up to that. But the biggest piece is severely uncontrolled blood pressure. And I mean, when we talk about this as a life and death kind of situation, like this is a very tender kind of thing. And just all I can say is thank God. Thank God that right now you have the ability to tell the tale. So
Tell the
anyway,
tale,
keep
right?
going.
Yes.
Keep going.
So we hear he has 48 hours from the onset of this explosion in his chest
Mm,
to the end.
mm, 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 mm.
Now, I guess this would then have been on the 22nd of December when he was at work and something happened.
Right, right,
But
right,
we don't know any of this.
right.
So as far as I'm understanding now, 24 of his hours are just about up
Mm,
at
mm.
this time.
Wow.
Emergency open heart surgery is the only option, and it is expensive.
Yeah.
Keith has no insurance
Mm,
and no money for such an expensive undertaking.
right.
Now, remember my mother's story about my sister Anne 45 years ago? That would be your mom, Antoinette.
Yes, yes.
Remember Keith's words to me just about 24 hours prior when he said,
Mm-hmm.
Mommy, it's time to put your faith into action.
Wow. I get the chills
Right.
I get the chills just thinking about
I
it.
tell you, everyone and everything went into warp speed.
Wow.
That's the only thing I can say.
Wow.
Each one of us has our individual strengths that come together in a crisis. Keisha is great at fundraising. Kiara, his sister, she's good at planning.
Mm-hmm.
Stanlia, he called her because she was going to get the word out to every family member and anybody that needed to know. She was good at passing the words on. And there are just so many more things that I can't think about right now.
Right, right.
So my home became a command central, and a team of family and friends pooled resources to overcome what seemed as impossible.
Wow.
People poured in from everywhere, Antoinette, everywhere with donations.
Wow. Wow.
Keisha started a GoFundMe appeal with a friend of hers, Shanna, who lives in New York, and they set it up. And Antoinette, in less than 12 hours, they had raised over $100,000.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
GoFundMe wanted to know what's going on. They wanted to know if this was real. They actually called to check, is this real?
Wow. GoFundMe called.
Yeah. They say, like, do you trust this
fundraiser, this campaign?
Yes, the campaign, yes. And we told them it was real. It was real.
And the amazing thing in all of this is, like, even in the middle of emergency, the intricate ways that things fell in line is, I mean, it leaves me speechless, right? It completely leaves me speechless, because even from the start of all these things, of you happen to have your phone, and Keith happened to go when he needed to go, and Lisa happened to check her messages. Yes. It's just like, we think these coincidence, right? Yes. But it's like, even in the middle of emergency, even in the middle of like the countdown on the clock,
yes,
things were still doing what they needed to do. And I guess you were pre-selected of who your 10 were going to be for being with you at that time too, right? Like,
well,
I remember you were wrestling for that.
Well, the 10 people I was talking about was who I was going to spend Christmas dinner with.
Well, there you go.
I didn't know I was going to need 10 people for this.
Right.
I tell you, it is, like I said, it was just go, go, go. Wow. So the air ambulance and hospital arrangements were made for Keith to leave on December the 24th. So this is the 23rd, on December the 24th. And he was going to Kendall Regional Hospital in Miami. He was alert and in good spirits and was fully aware of the gravity of the situation.
Right.
Because he called me. He said, Mommy, I know it's serious. I'm ready.
Yeah. Wow. Always with the clarity, like yes. Keith, no matter what's going on. And I remember myself, when we had gotten the news and we were like, immediately on prayer alert. But I remember speaking to him that day and he was just, yeah, I'm good. Don't worry. And it was just like, wow, like, Keith, you are just always, always the cool and collected, no matter what's going on. And just, I mean, seriously,
say he should have been a politician, but that's another story.
And just to have,
Yes.
so many people just rally around
Around it.
him. I mean, within 12 hours, like
Yes.
$100,000, like people far and wide. And I remember when that was set up. I mean, I take this moment to personally, just for a moment, and say thank you for anyone who's listening that contributed. Thank you. Thank you. You have
I
no idea like how much you have been an intricate part of this journey.
and Antoinette, this was all about Keith.
Mm,
He knew and know people from
mm,
every walk of
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Every walk of life.
Yeah.
But we are never in control of situations. We must always remember that,
Yeah.
because something went wrong.
Mm, mm, mm.
The air ambulance, we had paid for the air ambulance, paid for the hospital, because nothing was going to happen until the money was paid.
Mm.
Everything was paid.
Right. Right.
The air ambulance had a technical difficulty
Mm,
and did not arrive
mm,
as
mm,
scheduled.
mm, mm, mm. And we're on the clock here. We're on the
So,
clock, right?
so 5 p.m., December the 24th,
Mm-hmm.
time is up.
Mm,
Keith's time is up.
mm,
Now, so remember how I said I usually start my day, how I had done so on December the 22nd with thanks and praise to our
mm-hmm.
Father.
Mm-hmm.
I must have done the same thing on the 23rd of December, because I just don't know, but I would not have had the time, you know, to know what was going on with Keith. I didn't know what was going on with him.
Right.
So
Right.
I know I would normally wake up and say my prayers, because I didn't have any reason to do anything different.
Right.
And I have stories for everything. That's one thing. I'm like my mother. I have stories for everything. And they don't always come together all at once.
Hmm.
Something happens one day, and then later on down the road, another thing happens, and you suddenly realize they're related or connected.
Hmm.
So on December the 24th, I know I did not consciously say my prayers, because when I open up my iPad, I have this old iPad that I go through this ritual of morning prayers.
Yeah.
The prayers for December the 24th opened up at the beginning. And if I had done it, it would have opened up at the end of the page.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, I got goosebumps when I read the second Psalm. There were 2 Psalms appointed for that day.
Mm.
And the second Psalm appointed for morning prayers on December the 24th is Psalm 46.
Hmm.
God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore we will not fear, though the earth be moved, and though the mountains be toppled into the depths of the sea.
Mm.
Though its waters rage and foam, and though the mountains tremble at its tumult. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold.
Oh my. Wow. I have to keep myself from crying thinking about that, because when we talk about faith, when we talk about purpose, when we talk about God's provision, it's not just like religious rhetoric, right? It's not just spouting at the mouth. Like, this is like real stuff here. This is God saying, you know what? The mountains are crumbling right now, but I'm here. Like, everything is falling away right now, but I am here. And I think when we think again, even into 2020 and the starts of 2021, there are many people listening right now and who will listen later where it really felt like your world was crumbling. I just encourage you to hold fast to Psalm 46. Like, if you've never read anything else in the Bible, hold fast to that. Because when it talks about having that strength, that present help in a time of trouble,
yes.
I mean, there have been many troubles that many have seen, but I have always seen God come through. Even if it seems in an unexpected, maybe it didn't go this way or that way, because again, we're still not at the end of this journey. Like, things are completely crumbling, even in the middle of it. Like, you thought it was crumbling, but like, it's really crumbling right now. And again, I remember speaking, with you and Keith, and that morning I got up and it was just like immediately I was like, something's going on. I hadn't spoken with you all that yet, but it's like I had this kind of like felt this feeling like something's up, and all I knew what to do is I need to start praying right now. I don't know what's happening, but I feel like something's going on, because the last word we heard was, you know, you're going to be on the air ambulance soon. And then that morning, Lisa calls and she says, Antoinette, something's going wrong.
I tell you, let me tell you, Antoinette, when God is in the vessel, we can ride out any storm.
And that was definitely.
So here comes December the 25th, Christmas Day. So the air ambulance, it didn't come on Christmas Eve when it was supposed to come. Some technical, that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
But it did arrive at Odyssey Airport, and the team is on the way to the hospital.
Right.
Even getting all of that, there are just so many stories, but suffice it to say that on December the 25th, the air ambulance arrived at Odyssey Airport and the team is on the way to the hospital.
Right.
So I head to Lisa's house to grab our luggage, as we are going to travel with Keith on the air ambulance. Lisa and I were going to go along. Lisa, because she knows so much, you know, she knows her way around hospitals, and me because I'm his mother.
Right.
In the driveway of Lisa's house, my phone rings. It's somebody from the hospital ICU, and she's telling me to come immediately to ICU.
Right.
She said, drive carefully, but come immediately. There's been a change in Keith's condition. Antoinette, I was eerily calm as we drove to the hospital.
Yeah, wow.
The scene when we got there was grim. Keith was intubated and fighting for his life.
Wow.
You know, I said, like, what had happened?
Yeah.
At 4:12 a.m., I had gotten a voice note from Keith saying, now, mind you, it did sound a bit shaky, but it said, Merry Christmas, Mommy. Love you. See you soon.
Yeah.
I didn't see that message until it was 6:09. So I sent a message back and I said, Merry Christmas, Keith. Love you too. So good to be able to say this to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Antoinette, again, in all things, give God thanks and praise. He was in that vessel in the storm, and I did not even know, but subconsciously, I must have known. I must have known that he was in the vessel.
Yeah.
So our Christmas Day was spent in the waiting room in ICU, that's intensive care unit at the Princess Margaret Hospital, for 12 hours, Antoinette. So this was from about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
For 12 hours, the doctors, and especially Dr. Francis, he's another one of the heart team.
Yeah.
Who Lisa had worked with for many years.
Right.
He was able to stabilize Keith. You know, he was intubated, and Keith was completely unaware of what was going on around him.
Wow.
At 6 p.m., like something out of a movie, Keith was wheeled out of ICU to the waiting ambulance, tubes and equipment and people all around him. You know, the way they come wheeling out to the elevator, to the ambulance.
Right, on the stretcher.
Yes, and Antoinette, I remember you calling and praying for him at that time. You know, it seems like a prayer chain had formed around the world. And Keith, around the world, around Keith and around all of us that were involved in this. Right. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Y'all were, I have to say, unrelentingly beseeching the throne of God.
Oh, and I can tell you personally, I was like, I'm not moving from my knees and off this spot until I feel clearance in my heart. Again, matters of the heart, right? Until I get clearance that I feel like, okay, we have pressed through. And I think,
and he heard your prayers.
Yeah, that's such a big thing, because, you know, on the other end, as we're getting these calls, right? And you all are in the middle of the action of this, you know, stretchers and tubes where one minute.
Like I say, there are other things that are going on that, you know.
Right.
Keith needs to tell his story. Lisa needs to tell her story. There's
Right.
Keisha. There's so many people
So
involved
many
in the story.
pieces.
Yeah, this is just my version of the story.
Right. And
Yes.
even in that, it's so powerful, right? Because it's like
Mhm.
you are his mother. You are putting this faith into action. Your very mother, my Grammy, had to do the same thing 45 years ago.
Years
And
ago.
now you are saying, I have to put this into action. And so we also found ourselves putting our faith into action. I mean, talk about a Christmas morning situation, right? Like tradition has it, you wake up, you do your thing, you have your presents. But that Christmas morning, I was like, Lord, if anyone needs a Christmas miracle right now, today is the
It's the
day
day
for you to
for it.
do what you do best. And I remember
Oh,
that
Antoinette.
was one of the prayers I said. I said, God, now is the time for you to do what you do best. When everything
Best.
else seems like it's falling apart, I am trusting in you. And that eerie calm that you had, also all of us, it was like, obviously,
It
you know,
emanated.
I'm a nurse practitioner, and it's like when major situations happen, you have to stay calm as well. But there was also like a next level um of calm that came over,
Mhm.
because I remember even getting, a message from Keith as well, like 3 o'clock that morning
In
as
that
well.
morning,
And I'm like,
he
yeah,
was messaging
he
everybody,
really
telling them,
was. I don't, he's just
yes.
messy. He's
So
like, yeah, I'm good. Don't worry. Like, and I'm like, I'm thinking at 3 a.m. And I don't know if Keith as well, I really think the Holy Spirit gave him some kind of like calm over himself as well.
mm,
Because I mean, just the way he was like, you know what? I'm going to be all right. I'm
I,
gonna be all right.
I hope you get a chance to talk with him, for
Mm-hmm.
him to tell you about that calm that
Yeah.
came over him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's I think I need to let him tell that
Right.
portion of it.
Right.
That's his to tell.
Yeah. And
You
I and I
know.
and I know from personal experience what that calm feels like, because I remember my very
Mm.
self being on the brink of life or death
Yes,
situation
yes.
after the birth of our second son. And I was also intubated. I was also hooked up to all kinds of IVs. And I remember
Mm.
the moment before I woke up in the ICU myself. And I mean, everyone was frantic. They're like, we don't know what to do. And I remember just the peace that came over me. And I immediately started praying Psalm 91. And I immediately said, I am going to pray us through this. And I'm on the
Yeah.
table, right? I'm on the operating table here, and they're trying to like get me on track. And I'm like, somehow, and even through my entire ICU experience,
Mm.
people are like, I don't know. And I don't understand. I don't understand besides God. Like, God had to literally put some kind of special thing on my mind, because it's not a light thing to be intubated. It's not a
No,
light thing
no.
to be hooked up to like dozens of IVs. It's not a light thing. And so that level of peace, that's that peace that
That
surpasses all
pass it
understanding. Yeah.
understanding. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So
Right,
anyway,
yeah. So because of the seriousness of Keith's condition when he left NASA, I couldn't travel.
right.
But Lisa was with him, and they arrived Miami within 15 minutes. That
Wow.
plane left Nassau, I think about 6:30 that evening.
Mm,
And 6:45, they arrived to a waiting ambulance and was whisked off to Mercy Hospital,
mm.
a change from the Kendall Regional. I'm not sure if it was because of the gravity of the situation, but I know originally it was going to be Kendall Regional that he was going to, but he
Right.
went to Mercy Hospital instead.
Wow. Wow. And even that is like that intricate change. And you
Yes,
may
yes.
mention this as we move
I
along, but
will.
oh
I
my
will.
goodness.
I
Anyway, you
will.
keep going, because I mean, just keep going. Just keep
Yes.
going.
So luckily Lisa was able to stay with him until he was safely in his room at Mercy Hospital and stabilized. He
Right.
did not know she was there.
Hmm.
So surgery was set for the following morning,
Right.
December 26th at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
Remember what I said? In all things,
Mm-hmm.
give God thanks
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
praise.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it
Yeah.
seems it seems like now the clock was stopped on
Hmm.
Christmas Day. You know that
Right.
clock that was ticking?
Right.
It stopped.
Hmm.
So who has the power to stop time?
Mm, 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 mm.
The same one who sent his son into this world. That's the one.
Yeah.
And Antoinette brings to mind the song Because He Lives. You know that
Mm-hmm.
song?
Yeah, I do.
God sent his son. I wish I could sing it, but oh goodness. They call him Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He came to love, heal, and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives.
Mm.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone.
Mm.
Because I know he holds the future and life is worth the living just because he lives.
Wow.
I love that song. I wish maybe you could play it in the interview, but I certainly won't sing it. I won't spoil it for y'all.
The reading was beautiful though.
Thank you. But you know, it just so happened that on the 26th of December at Mercy Hospital, the top surgeon for this particular surgery was on call, Dr. Alan Stewart, and he performed Keith's surgery.
Wow, just so happened.
Just so happened. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to say right here, 45 years earlier at this very same hospital, Mercy Hospital, my sister was able to walk again.
Yeah. Yeah.
45 years later at the same hospital, Mercy Hospital, my son's life was saved.
Wow. Wow.
And I just want to say faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Love of the Father for all his children.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Antoinette, it was a journey. It was a journey, but it was, and I'm glad I can share this.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can share this at this time. It was really very, very humbling.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm a proud person, but I like to do things for myself.
Right.
I don't like to ask for help. But I think in this, it was bigger than me.
Yeah.
It was not about me. It was about, I think God wanted to show his love at Christmas time. And what was humbling for me as well was, why did he choose me and my family?
Right.
You know, and I have no answer for that, but I am privileged that he did.
Yeah.
You know, there was, when I thought about miracles, I looked all on the internet about miracles and how do you explain miracles? And I Antoinette, this was my Christmas miracle.
Absolutely.
This was my Christmas. I said, if I could make a movie, I would call it Keith's Heart, A Christmas Miracle.
Oh yeah, that's it. I mean, there's no
So
there's no other explanation like that. That like literally we just got a preview to probably what's going to be the greatest documentary that anyone will ever watch, greatest movie rendition as played by or whatever else that comes with it, because this is truly like if you wanted to show God's faithfulness, this was it. And like you said, it humbles you because there are many who have not had a joy at the end of it, right? And it's not that God doesn't want people to be saved and rescued and healed. It's not that he wishes evil on anyone, but there are a lot of people who are still grieving. There are a lot of people who may grieve in the future. And it's like, all you can say is, God, thank you. That's all. Like you said before, all you can do is give thanks, right? There's no way to explain it. There's no words to put around it. All you can say is thank you. And if you have the strength to tell it, that same strength will encourage someone else. That same strength will say, you know what? I'm willing to pull on the mercy and the graciousness of God, even in the middle of trouble, right? Even in the middle of the mountains falling and breaking down, and even in the middle of being past time, right? And there's so many people who are like, it's, I'm way out of time on fill in the blank, whatever's going on in life. Like I'm beyond time of this situation and that circumstance. And it's like, if I can give you this moment of encouragement to say, with God, time has no borders. Like there are no borders with him. And even in the hardest situation, that is where he can come into it. And even just thinking again, that intricacy, even in the middle of the storms, as you were mentioning, the very same hospital where he was originally scheduled to be somewhere else, he ended up at the same hospital that my very mother, who, when it was like, we don't know how she is going to, and this is well before I was born, right? That
Yes.
she's paralyzed. She's in an
Yes.
impossible situation. She's in a wheelchair and she has a potential opportunity to have a life-changing surgery at this very Mercy hospital to be able to walk again. And it took the skill and the wisdom of God and even for her circumstance, the very key person who was the top of the top in that particular area was also there for her surgery too. And so you can't make this stuff up is all I have to say. You cannot make this stuff up. And that's why it was so important to even tell this story, because I think there are many people who, this past year has been discouraging. It's been disheartening. Maybe they have lost people in their lives, or maybe they're hanging on for their own life. And they're like, does God care? Is he there? Does God really still do miracles? Is he that intricate in our lives? And the answer is yes, like 100% yes. And even if it feels like everything's crashing around you, I encourage you in those moments, start training up yourself now to say, even if it looks like the mountains are crumbling, everything's crashing down around me, God is with me. He's a present help in a time of trouble, like plain and simple. He is a help in a time of trouble. And watch him show up, watch him perform not only a Christmas miracle, but a New Year's miracle and a Valentine's Day miracle and whatever other kind of miracle you need. Like he is going to do that. I can speak for myself. I can speak for many in my family, and even just to have this time capsule, so to speak, of a journey is just, all you can say is thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you is really at the end of it all. That's at the end of it all. So anyway, I don't know if you have any final words or pressing in this, or just last words of hope for someone who might be holding on and saying, you know what, I'm in that tough situation. Anything that you just feel will give them one more boost of encouragement.
They have to trust and believe.
Yeah.
Just trust and believe.
Yeah.
Trust. And like you say, it's not, it's a good ending. Mm-hmm. But when I was in that very calm spot, it was that your will be done, Lord. And we always have to remember that. Yeah. Your will be done. Yeah. In fact, Keith remembered that. And he said that. He said, Lord, your will be done, before he passed out. And
thank God that he woke up again. Yes. And he is strong, and he's recovering well. And he's doing well. Like it just, it's a miracle.
Yeah, it is. But it doesn't stop there.
Right.
We have to talk about it. We have to share it.
Right.
We have to share it to give people hope.
Yeah.
To
absolutely.
give people hope.
Absolutely.
Hope that it will work out.
Right.
And it'll be okay.
Right.
And who knows what the future holds. Right. For any of us. But if we can just live today, like my mother did, she showed love to people, and people showed love to her in return. Right. If we could just be obedient. Antoinette, you know what I thought about? I thought about every good thing I had ever done for anybody. Every tithe and offering I put into church. Every person I forgave me for having wronged me, but because God said to forgive, I forgave them. For every time when, they tell me, they said, Diana, you have a big S on your head, on your forehead for stupid. Everybody knows to come to you. They can come to you and give you any old story, and you'll just do something for them. But Antoinette, I don't know, it was a long time ago, but it was a long time before I got to that long time ago when I realized that my relationship with God is a bit different from other people's relationship with God. I I had been struggling with trying to have a relationship with God by somebody else's blueprint. I had to go by mine.
Yeah.
And I used to, like I'd say, these things would jump up in my head. I call it that. It would jump up in my head. And when I realized that what was jumping up in my head was the Holy Spirit saying,
Yeah.
Diana, you listen here.
Yeah.
Y'all are my angels out there. You are the one I can send on this particular job because it's not going to work with anybody else. Nobody
Right.
else is crazy enough to do it. I need you. You know, I remember the time and I'm going to tell you about these three little experiences that I had in life. The first one was I was at the a place in a mall in the Bahamas, the town center mall. It was Christmas time. Things were, you know, the mall was closed. The Toys R Us was in the mall, but they were closed. They were having a closing out sale because they were closing out from the mall. And I remember going into the mall. I said, "Oh my goodness!" And it was around the same time, like a couple of days before Christmas. I got a bonus, and I said, "Okay, I can go out and I can buy some stuff for the kids for Christmas." And as I was going into the mall, it was I remember it was cold at Christmas, and a little boy was coming towards me, and you could see all, you know, that excitement in his eyes. He was just looking at all the lights, and I looked at this little fella, and I realized he had on two different pairs of tennis. They didn't match. And in my head, you know, I said things jump up in my
Yeah.
head. It said, buy that boy a pair of tennis. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
But I was young. I needed to get to Toys R Us. I didn't do anything. I just ran past. We passed each other, and I went and I did what I had to do.
Right.
Now, several years later, in the same mall, there was another, and I don't know if I can say these things because, you know, maybe I should not have said Toys R Us. So maybe I won't call the other place, the other establishment I went to. But they had opened up a stand in the same mall. It was a eatery place, you know, like that kids like to go to.
Right.
I had to catch the bus from where I was working to get to this mall. I was going to pay my credit card bill because, you know, I mean, I'm down, you know, it's you're paying the minimum, so use that, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I got into the bank and the line was so long. I said, I am going to be forever. I'll miss my bus to go back to work. But anyhow, as I'm going into the bank, a little boy said to me, can you buy me something to eat? I look at the line, and I look at this little boy, and then I said, okay, you're not going to get me twice.
Yeah.
I said, I know who you are, and you're not going to catch me twice. And I said to the little boy, because he looked at me puzzled, because I said this out loud.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't mean you. And I said, but I don't know where I can buy you something to eat. And he said, right over there. And there was this, like I say, the stand was in the middle of the floor. It wasn't like a shop on the sides. They were like kiosk in the middle.
Right.
And he said he wanted, I forget what he wanted. I think he wanted a cheese sandwich, something like that. And I said, why do you want just that? And he didn't say anything. And I said to him, I said, you look up there and you pick what you would like. I said, and I'm going to sit here with you so you can have it, you can eat it. And I could see the look on his face. And I said, this poor kid probably got to take something home to,
Right.
like brothers and sisters. And I said to him, I said, don't worry. I want you to eat this. We're going to buy something for you to take home. And so, and with that, he gobbled the sandwich down.
Yeah.
And then I bought something for him. And I said, okay, kiddo, now that you've done your good deed, the bank is probably closed. I went to the bank and there was nobody in there. I walked straight up to the counter, paid my bill nice. I walked out of the mall and somebody said, hey, Diana, what you doing all the way out here at this mall? And I said, well, I guess I could probably be walking back to work because I just missed the last bus. I said, I'm going that way, jump in the car.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my. And that's just, that's it.
That's just what happened. So my way of that's just my way of connecting. I'm sure there are people out there who have their own way of connecting, and it might seem crazy, but God, he has different ways of connecting with his children.
Right.
And once you find your way, don't try and fit into anybody else's way. Let his will be done. What it is, my will.
Yes.
Okay.
Where my will and your will represent his will. You got it. I need to have you be the spokesperson for all my future episodes. Well, I mean, Anidai, this has been rich. I mean, this has been so rich. I can't even, again, I know I'm going to keep saying this in every episode and every interview, but it just keeps climbing more and more and more. And we all recognize that there are going to be those heartstrings, those matters of the heart. And it's definitely, we're all equipped for different purposes, and God will use the passions and the purpose that he's designed us. Like you said, just like a parent may communicate with their child in a different way or in a special way, he does that for us as well. And even in all those things, it's working us up so that when we get into these major situations, we're saying, okay, wait a second. I recognize this now. The first time I may not have caught it, but right now I'm catching it. All right, now I'm catching it.
I got it.
That's what you got to do. That's the biggest thing. So this has been such a beautiful time to share, and just such a beautiful time to just hear from your heart, and hear as a mother, as an individual with a strong just passion for life and passion for people, and also just someone who I really feel like you just exude joy. Like that's like your thing. And so it's been a joy. It's been a joy to just see your faith come out. And it's not to say that you knew that you were going to have all the faith in the world, but he equipped you for the time that you needed it. And so that in itself is beautiful. So we really just encourage people, in our, as we sign off and just think about just the beauty of all these things, be used by him in the way that you've been designed. Be willing to listen to what he's saying to you, because he's definitely going to use you in a unique way. And watch yourself flourish as you listen in the way that he's leading you, right? And also too, I take another moment just to thank all the staff and the physicians and nurses and every single worker at Mercy Hospital for once again impacting our family's life through the grace of God, as well as every single person who gave for the GoFundMe campaign. I mean, people far and wide all over the world, those who knew and know Keith personally, and those who didn't. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You truly heard, just like my Anidai heard, you heard that voice that said, you know what, do this thing. You didn't have to do it, but you did it. And I pray many blessings on you as well. So anyway, that's all the time we have. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for being inspired. We know that this year is going to be a year that you will flourish. I'm going to put that out there, and I want you to flourish in that. So be willing to be open to what your heart is being directed to do as God's leading you, and follow that purpose and passion that he's placed in you, so that when the time comes for you to say, you know what, it's time to exercise my faith, you're going to be ready to move on it and expect him to do the greatest. So we thank you for tuning in. It's been a wonderful time. Remember, this is Montalvo International Women in Life and Leadership, where your will and my will represents his will. And we will definitely check in with you soon. Take care. Bye.